perceive through your senses is permanent. And yet the nature of the mind is, it will convince you absolutely that whatever is around you that you can perceive with your senses is permanent and will always be there. In fact, it is said that the illusion of the mind has got two abilities. It's called avarnatmika shakti and prakshepatmika shakti. Avaranatmika shakti is covering over and prakshepatmika shakti is pulling down. So I remember when we used to go and play in the swimming pool, one fellow would swim underwater and catch that fellow's leg and pull him underneath. Another fellow would come from the top and hold his head down to see that it didn't come up. This is the nature of illusion of the mind. It pulls you under and then forces you down. It keeps you covered up. It sees that you don't come up for air. Therefore, this is the nature of the mind. And to control this mind is more difficult than anybody can imagine. In fact, people have struggled to control the mind for hundreds and thousands and millions of lifetimes. And yet, sooner or later, they always fall down. We have the great example of Vishwamitra Muni. He meditated for 60,000 years. After meditating for 60,000 years, his mind was attracted by the tinkling of the bells on the feet of the beautiful dancer. And he opened his eyes, and then the second sense captured him. And the second sense captured him, he was completely lost. Therefore, it has been said in the Bhagavad Gita that even one sense, even a single sense, can actually drag you to destruction. Even a single sense, just hearing, just imagine, only hearing can drag you to destruction. You may close your eyes, you may control your tongue, you may not touch anything, but just hearing brought about his downfall. It's like in your house. If you have 10 doors and you keep 9 of them closed, the thief can enter through the 10th door. This actually happened in my house. We lock the doors and windows, all of them. We have grills over our windows. But yet one day a thief entered our house, and having entered our house, after ransacking the house, he left the main door open and went out. So you're wondering, how did he come in? Then we went and saw that the servant's bathroom is only such a small window. But he had put a ladder there and he had climbed through the servant's bathroom and come in through that window and come into the house. So we always think that we have controlled our senses, we have controlled our mind. But through a small chink that we have left, climbs in and it drags us to destruction. Because this, in fact, is the nature of the mind. And unless we know how to control the mind, there will be no possibility for us to make further progress in spiritual life. In fact, the more you struggle against the mind, the more powerful the mind becomes. The more you struggle against the mind, the more powerful the mind becomes. It's like being stuck in quicksand. Have you seen quicksand? Quicksand sucks you and sucks you and sucks you until you're up to your neck. And the more you struggle in the quicksand, the faster it pulls you down. The faster it pulls you down. So this is the nature of the mind. That the more you struggle against the mind, the happier the mind is. Aha, wonderful, let him struggle. Because through that struggle, he is getting more and more into my clutches. In fact, there's a famous story I'd like to relate to you. It's here from the Yog Vashisht. It is a story of King Sikkidwaja. King Sikkidwaja was a great king. And he had a beautiful wife by the name of Chudalai. And she was an accomplished yogini. She was a highly realized, exalted soul. But usually husbands never think their wives are spiritually advanced. They always think they are more spiritually advanced than their wives. So he never took her very seriously. And although they had everything that anyone could want, King Sikkidwaja was dissatisfied. Why was he dissatisfied? Why else? Because he had not controlled his mind. So one day he told his wife that I am now going to abandon my kingdom and I am going to leave behind everything and going to seek shelter in the forest. And going to the forest, I will go there and perform spiritual practices to attain moksha. So that's exactly what he does. His wife tries to dissuade him. But although his wife tries to dissuade him, he refuses and he goes out on his own. He leaves his beautiful wife, he leaves his kingdom, his throne, he leaves his courtiers, his subjects, his treasury, everything, and simply wearing a ragged cloth around him, he goes to the forest. So his wife lets him go and she continues to run the kingdom. And after some time, after a few years are over, she decides that she should visit her husband and see what progress he has made. So by virtue of her yogic powers, her siddhis, she finds out where he is and she goes and she approaches him. But when she approaches him, she doesn't approach him as his wife. She takes the form of a yogi. She takes the form of a muni, and carrying a pot in her hand and beads in the other hand, she goes as a male muni and approaches him. So when King Sikhidoja sees this gentleman approaching him, he sees the muni approaching him, he asks him what his name is. So he says, my name is Kumbha Muni. Kumbha means one who is born from a pot. So he says, I am Kumbha Muni. So immediately Sikhidoja offers great respect to him because he can see that Kumbha Muni is not walking on the ground. He is walking 1 foot above the ground by virtue of the yogic siddhi that she has acquired. So Kumbha Muni asks her husband that how are you? Are you happy? Have you made great progress? Have you found bliss? Have you found contentment? So King Sikhidaja says that I have not made any progress. I have not found peace of mind. What to speak of bliss or happiness? I have not even found peace of mind. I am still miserable. I am still disturbed. After spending so many years in the forest in renunciation, I am still disturbed. So Kumbha Muni tells him 2 stories. One story he tells him is of a very rich man who wanted to find the Chintamani. What is Chintamani? Chintamani is a precious stone. If you have that stone, all desires can be fulfilled. It's a touchstone. So this man was eagerly seeking out this Chintamani, this touchstone which could fulfill everything. And this touchstone incidentally was always there on his dressing table. But although he felt that this could be Chintamani because it is lying there on his dressing table, he thought that I have not performed any tapasya. I have not performed any austerities. I have not taken great pains, nor have I suffered greatly. So since I have not performed austerities or tapasya, without suffering, how can I get Chintamani? Therefore this must not be the Chintamani, this must not be the touchstone. So abandoning all things, he goes to the forest. And in the forest he finds some broken glass. And taking this broken glass, he hugs it to his chest, thinking that it is a touchstone. And this broken glass, it cuts him. But still he feels that this is the touchstone that he has found. So Kumbha Muni tells him, you are like this man. Chintamani, the touchstone, the secret of happiness, bliss is there in your home. But you have left your home, you have left your kingdom, you have left your dependence, and you have come here seeking the touchstone which is actually lying there on your dressing table. And you have taken the broken glass of austerity, and now you have cut yourself with this broken glass of austerity, thinking that you have actually achieved great things. But now you are wise, you have realized you have achieved nothing. He also tells him the story of the elephant. That once upon a time, there was an elephant, and this elephant was bound in chains, iron chains. And these iron chains, although they bound the elephant very tightly, the elephant was very big and strong, used the huge tusks which he had to shatter the chains completely. And having shattered those chains, he escaped into the forest. And the mahout who was seated on the head of the elephant was thrown on the ground. But the mahout, although he was thrown on the ground, was not dead. So this mahout, he got up and he prepared a pit for the male elephant and covered it with leaves and grass. And sure enough, the elephant came again and he walked onto the pit, he fell in the pit, again he was captured, again he was bound by chains. So the same thing has happened to you, Kumbha Muni explains. That you are the elephant and you have been bound with chains of desire. Actually, iron chains, they rust and they become weaker with time. But the chains of desire, they don't rust. They become stronger with time. The chains of desire, they become stronger with time. But still using your two tusks of Vivek and Vairagya, of discrimination and renunciation, you have broken these chains of desire and you have escaped into the forest. But because your real enemy has not been destroyed but merely temporarily dislodged, he has again trapped you and put you into a great difficulty. So King Srikhidwaja looks at his wife, now in the form of Kumbha Muni, and he asks him that, what have I done wrong? I have given up everything in the world and I have sought spiritual solace. So what could I have done wrong? So Kumbha Muni tells him, and yes, you think you have given up everything, but actually you are not at all renounced. You are not at all renounced. So Srikhidwaja says, what else do I have to give up? I have given up my wife, my family, my wealth, my kingdom. Alright, he says, maybe my grass hut is still there. So he takes a torch and he sets fire to his grass hut. Then into that grass hut, he takes off his torn cloth that is wrapped around him, he throws that also into the fire. And now standing naked before Kumbha Muni, he says that now I am renounced, now I have nothing. Look at me. So Kumbha Muni says that you have still not renounced, my dear friends. You have still not renounced anything at all. So Kumbha Muni looks around him and says, well, what else I have to renounce? Okay, maybe I am in a beautiful lush green forest. Now I shall go to the desert. So he goes to the desert where there is no greenery, no vegetation, where the temperature is intolerable, and now looks at Kumbha Muni and tells him that now I have renounced everything. So he said, still you have not renounced anything. So Srikhidwaja looks and says, now what is there to renounce? Then he looks at his body. He said, yes, I have my body to renounce. So he goes to the top of a cliff and he says that now I renounce my body, and he's about to jump from the cliff. So at that time Kumbha Muni stops him and says, why are you going to give up your body? Don't give up your body, because your body is not the cause of your distress. After all, what can your body do to trouble you? You should actually seek that which is the cause of the agitation in your body. Just like the wind rustles the leaves, just like the wind moves the plants and the branches of the tree, so also there is something in this body which disturbs the body and agitates it. There is something in the body which puts the body into motion. That is what you have to renounce. And that, Kumbha Muni explains to him, is none other than the mind. So Srikhidwaja asks, well, what is the mind then? Explain to me what is the mind. Because if you explain to me what is the mind, then I can actually try to give it up. So Srikhidwaja is explained by Kumbha Muni. He says that the mind, your greatest enemy, is nothing other than ignorance. Another name for mind is ignorance. Another name for mind is ignorance, because what is the mind? The mind actually does not exist. It actually consists of a bundle of unfulfilled desires and impressions that you have carried forth with you. Every desire that you have had which has not yet been fulfilled is present as your mind. The bundle of unfulfilled desires, the vasanas that you possess, that is your mind. All your past impressions, every past impression that you have of events past in your life, your mental impressions or your karmas, they are actually existing as your mind. So your past karmas are your mind. Your unfulfilled desires are your mind. That is what your mind really consists of. That is why your mind is termed as ignorance. He also explains to him that what is the seed of the mind?